everybody, my name is Marissa and this is my empirical study. The article I decided to choose is called Self-Presentation, Individual Differences, and Gendered Evaluations of Nonverbal Greeting Behaviors Among Close Male Friends. I chose this article because I've always been interested in these social differences between genders, and me and my friends would often talk about these differences when we'd see them out in public. So when I came across this article, I really wanted to read more about it because it focused on male greetings and how people perceived these greetings. This is because there's so many sex and gender nonverbal characteristics that society has placed upon each gender, and our culture has put gender into these roles depending on our masculinity and femininity. And so I'm really interested to see how far these characteristics are rooted into our mind, into our culture. So I found around like 4 articles on this topic. However, I didn't end up picking them because they either didn't catch my eye as much as this one, or they didn't meet all the requirements listed for this assignment. The purpose of the study is to further the conversation about nonverbal communication between genders and how gender norms and self-presentation affect one's relationship with themselves. This study focuses on greetings between males and how they differ. For background, the depth of a friendship is usually what determines how an action or greeting is performed. So, for example, if 2 friends are close, they'd have a more emotional intimacy as well as nonverbal intimacy. Gender is one of the most important factors influencing nonverbal intimacy behavior. And between men and women, these are there are pronounced differences in both approach behaviors and determining which areas of the body are appropriate for touching. The research question is there a relationship between masculinity and ratings of A, how typical the touch was, B, how often male friends engage in similar forms of touch, and C, how appropriate the touch was? For the methods section of this article, there were 151 undergraduate students who participated. Their age ranged between 18 and 26, but the average was around 20. Participants represented both sexes, although 73% of the participants were female. And all students were encouraged to participate. However, because this research was focused on self-identified heterosexuals, 5 students were removed from the sample, so the total number of participants ended up being 146. This is from the article. This is the procedure. Participants volunteered, and there were 4 different sections of questions, and they were all administered online through a survey software. So section 1 was a student profile where they asked basic questions about the students combined into a 26 number questionnaire that evaluated students' perceptions of the campus, personal, and social issues. However, there were 3 questions mixed into this that were drawn from Floyd's scale of homophobia, and each question was rated on a scale from 1 strongly disagree to 9 strongly agree. In section 2, it was the video and video responses, where students were shown a series of videos of both intimate and non-intimate interactions, and then after watching these videos, students would indicate their response on the 9-point scale and would attempt to ascertain one's belief in the appropriateness of the touch and one's concerns about how the touch may affect one's image, and so on. Section 3 is where the students would try to remember a certain object held by one of the actors in the video, and if they could remember who it was, they would also report who was holding it. And finally, section 4 was gender identity, where 20 questions were drawn from a modified version of BEM's sex role inventory and were included to determine the gender identity of the participants. For the results, one's desire for heterosexual self-presentation is a strong factor in the evaluation of the nonverbal behaviors of others, with those individuals who have a higher desire to present themselves as not homosexual being more likely to negatively evaluate the more intimate forms of ritualized greetings among same-sex friends. In more physically intimate interactions, individuals with a relatively high desire to present themselves as heterosexual are also more likely to evaluate that physical touch as intimate and then those individuals who do not have this concern with heterosexual self-presentation. Third-party observers seem to assume that people in close friendships don't worry as much about the impact of their nonverbal behaviors because that relationship is already close. People in less close friendships may have greater issues of self-presentation, explaining the differences in comfort and fear of a bad impression. Also, femininity influences impressions of the likelihood of engaging in highly intimate nonverbal greeting ritual among same-sex friends. For the discussion, men and women who cared about presenting themselves as heterosexual are more likely to believe that male-to-male intimate greetings are less typical, less frequent, and less appropriate. The men and women who had high desire for heterosexual self-presentation also assumed a closer relationship between teen males observed in the videos, and even associated intimacy between the two individuals depending on their greeting. For example, handshakes were seen as friendly, while hugs were seen as a sign of romance. Overall, I enjoyed this study and found it very intriguing to learn about. I feel as though the study was well thought out and had detailed and rigorous method sections that I feel like improved its overall discussion and findings, and I really enjoyed this. So, thank you.